A mess of emails, a community hungry for a new fight, and one round food item that suddenly gained a sinister reputation. It all came together online and changed the course of history forever. This week's episode is 4chan, WikiLeaks, and Pizzagate, Part 3. Sinisterhood. Now's the time. The pizza has arrived.
This is one of those things that everyone used to make a lot of fun about it, but I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll walk you through today that it all appears to have been a good smokescreen for, the real stuff that we've now seen with the new files come out, that you kind of give the nosy people something to play with to distract them so that they don't figure out what actually is going on. Give them something, and also kind of throw the kitchen sink in there and throw a bunch of extra stuff in there so that when people grab onto something real and something silly and bring them to you at the same time, you can go, look at the silly thing. It's all fake. It's all wrong. And you're like, is it all fake and all wrong? And the end of every Scooby-Doo episode when you unmask somebody and you're like, who was it? And you're like, it was Steve Bannon again. It was Steve Bannon again.
Mm-hmm.
It's always him.
There are untrue things that people have speculated upon and made into something that it wasn't, but it's mixed in with stuff that's like the same, and that did mean that in that context. So when you're like, yeah, I mean, some of it could be true, maybe not all of it, but like you said, you weave it in, so it's very hard to parse out what's true and what's not. And then it's easy for naysayers just be like, look, it's all fucking made up. None of this is true.
Right. It's been a lesson in misinformation and intentional disinformation and how powerful it is and how powerful the internet is in running it. So I'm happy. I told Paris, I was like, I'm so glad we're digging into this because, we lived it, obviously. You saw the headlines. Everything is like drinking from a fire hose now, but with the, as always, benefit of hindsight, really being able to parse these things out. God, I listened to a podcast of some folks talking about this and it came out December of 2016. And they were like, well, we'll see how this Donald Trump thing goes.
No.
Like, we'll just see how everything goes. And I was like, my goodness, buddy.
Won't we?
Oh,
we
no.
shall.
Oh, no. He was like, I'm trying to figure out any way to be positive. And I was like, hold on to that hope. I mean, hold on to it.
Yeah. Man,
We're
if
all
I could
still
go
holding
back
on.
to 2016, Christy was a different Christy.
I have some information to tell you. And they're like, who is this haggard person? And I'm like, listen, you don't understand. I just came from the future.
I came from 2026.
Yeah.
It's real rough out there.
They're like, only 10 years? And you're like, yeah, I know.
We're just as surprised as you are. So
man,
we'll dig into all of that and more in today's episode. But you know where you can get some actual pizza that's good?
It was honestly almost the only thing I ate. Truly, almost the only thing I ate aboard Liberty of the Seas.
That cruise ship that we were on, they had gluten-free.
Yep.
It was open until like 3 a.m. or something. Yeah. So everyone was there after like the nightclub closed down. Or you're just like, man, I could go for a margarita pizza right now at 2 a.m. You're like, fuck it, why not? They're right downstairs. I can get it.
Magic.
Go do it.
Magical. We're talking about CRIMEWAVE at Sea 2027. Join us, Henry and Ed from last podcast, No Sleep, Scared to Death, True Crime Garage, and so many more friends for shows, panels, fun, hanging out, going to the beach together, and eating a bunch of like actual Sortinos, gluten-free vegetarian pizza. And if they don't have GF vegetarian pizza on this new ship, I'm jumping off.
I'd like to petition that the soda situation changed, but that's probably an episode for another day.
I wrote 29,000 words about CRIMEWAVE at Sea 1, and I haven't released it yet, but there's almost 2 full pages about soda cups. So when you ask, why haven't you, I've recorded the audio. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm only like 2/3 of the way done. And a lot of it's about soda cups. So you guys can hear my
soda cups. That's if one thing could change about the cruising, it's the soda cups.
I was like, the only way I'll save it for my dissertation, but it's not positive, but it's not the worst thing. Cause I was like, people could just put their mouths under it otherwise, but could they? I don't know. What we're talking about.
I don't think so, because it's always so packed that I think somebody would be like, get the fuck out of there, lady.
Ma'am, Miss McKinney, we need you to step away. So go to crimewaveatsea.com, use code Sinister, find out what we're talking about, and come aboard, have some actual legitimate pizza we're talking about, as well as some delicious sodas that come out of a microchipped soda dispenser.
Yeah.
crimewaveatsea.com, use code Sinister.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Already looking forward to it. In the meantime, let's get back to this shit show that we call our reality.
Let's just do some post-mortem on what the fuck happened.
I'm Christy.
I'm Heather.
And let's get into it. The word was pizza in the 50,000 emails WikiLeaks released from Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta's account beginning October 7th, 2016. Pizza was mentioned often. Campaign staffers ordered pizza, hosted pizza fundraisers, scheduled pizza parties, and thanked each other for pizza. The emails read as ordinary campaign correspondence, the kind any senior operative would generate over years of political work. But for some online users, the emails contained something more sinister. 4chan's poll board had developed its own lexicon years before the Podesta emails existed. Board users had constructed an elaborate system of food-based substitutions they claimed were used by predators to discuss victims in plain language. CP, the board's established shorthand for the phrase child pornography, mapped onto a code where pizza meant little girls, pasta meant little boys, cheese meant little girls, and hot dogs meant little boys. The code originated entirely within Poll's own culture, with no documented basis in actual predator communication. But once it existed, it functioned as a key that could be applied to any text. And in October 2016, Poll had 50,000 pages of text from the chairman of a Democratic presidential campaign to apply it to.
I think where the 4chaners got this idea that there was like a code out there for predators is that there's a code out there for predators.
Yeah.
And there was a document from the FBI. It was an unclassified FBI intelligence bulletin dated from 2007, and it was released on WikiLeaks at some point. It got leaked on there. And it was titled Symbols and Logos Used by Pedophiles to Identify Sexual Preferences. And on it, the FBI described symbols that they found in actual child exploitation investigations, where rings, pendants, websites, coins, items that had these logos on them had documented symbolism. And so one of them is boy lover, and it's a small blue spiral triangle inside of a larger triangle. The idea is that the small is the boy and the larger one is the male. The little boy lover is the same design, but with rounded corners, I guess. So younger looking. And then girl lover is a small heart inside a larger heart. And then child lover is a butterfly shape representing a non-gender specific preference for abusers. So the FBI encountered this during examination of like a website, like where it was like hidden in a website banner. So you think you're buying whatever, barrels of whatever, and it's actually this. So
that makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, it's horrifying that it's, and the idea is that the FBI bulletin explains that these symbols are sort of secretly worked into an otherwise innocuous logo, which then provided fodder for everyone on 4chan to be like, see, look, they're hiding stuff in this, even though these symbols were not in the emails. Pizza separately was mentioned by, this, we'll talk about him shortly, this pizza guy, like restaurant owner. But somehow I think that's where they started like, there is a symbol list. And it's like, there is, but it's not food. I don't know.
Or it wasn't food until this all happened. Then people capitalized on that.
Yeah, it's like someone started pointing out pizza, and I'm like, given the rabble-rousers who were on there, connected, we'll talk about it in part 4, there's a part 4, who's connected to these people, that I think it was maybe planted to go like kind of two things of like, look, the FBI says there's this code system, and look, pizza, right? Don't you guys think this is crazy? Knowing that other people use that the FBI is intentionally not aware of as a way to muddy all these waters.
Yeah. Yeah. Like with anything, it's like there's some truth in fiction, but if you're orchestrating all the fiction so you can hide your truth within it, then
genius.
You're kind of you're the puppeteer. That same pattern matching culture that had spent 2 years coordinating Gamergate's harassment turned its full attention to the Podesta emails. Users divided the emails into categories, ran keyword searches, and cross-referenced food references with the Instagram account of James Alefantis, the owner of a Washington, D.C. pizza restaurant called Comet Ping Pong. Alefantis had been mentioned in the emails in connection with the Democratic fundraiser. Within days, Poll had constructed a narrative. John Podesta and his Democratic associates were using food references as code for a child trafficking ring, and Comet Ping Pong was their base of operations.
They zoomed in on this guy for a couple reasons. One, there's an email from Alefantis to John Podesta in 2008 following a Barack Obama fundraiser at the restaurant, because Comet Ping Pong is like a music venue and restaurants, like family friendly. There is no basement, FYI.
Much like the Alamo.
Much just like you should ask Pee Wee. There is no basement. But this 2008 email said, thanks for having this Barack Obama presidential campaign fundraiser at my restaurant. This is how much we raised. And at the end, James Alefantis says, my only regret is I did not make you a nice pizza. When can I? James Alefantis is a chef who makes pizza at his restaurant. So one would assume that's a pretty normal use of the word pizza.
It makes sense in that context that is exactly what they're talking about.
And they zoomed in on, so they took that as one, and James Alefantis, his name sounds like Jamais Enfants, which would be like, I love children.
Oh, that's unfortunate for him.
That's unfortunate for him, but that was one like proof. And then Comet Ping Pong, CP.
Yeah.
So again, you're at some point you just start finding symbols where there are no symbols, and whether that was overzealous 4chaners or some provocateur on there going, "Hey, look, guys, look, this guy mentioned pizza. That probably means kids," to try and turn. I don't know, but their three big emails was this James Alefantis email, another email from John Podesta's brother Tony. And it was a forward of an email from the performance artist Marina Abramovic. And it said, Marina said, "Dear Tony, I'm so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Do you think you'll be able to let me know if your brother is joining? All my love, Marina." Tony forwarded it to his brother John and said, "Are you going to be in New York on this date? Marina wants you to come to dinner." I'm assuming that it was a fundraiser for her Kickstarter to fund her, I believe it was funding her institute. She has the Marina Abramovic Institute. So she had done a Kickstarter. And if you donated so much on this Kickstarter, you got to go to a spirit cooking demonstration, which was a redo of a 1996 performance art piece she had already done, where she paints recipes on gallery walls using pig's blood. And it says like, mix fresh breast milk with fresh sperm milk, fresh morning urine. And she kind of said
these
that
are terrible recipes. I don't want to eat any of this.
Yeah, don't make that. She said it was a cookbook of evocative instructions for actions or thoughts.
Gross.
It is, though, rooted in Aleister Crowley's concept of spirit cooking as a metaphor for psychic nourishment. So the word spirit cooking does have an Aleister Crowley connection. She maybe follows him, believes him, or whatever. But that was really the only Marina Abramovic connection here in these emails. And then the third one was the handkerchief, which this is the one I can't explain. The first one, pizza guy is offering a pizza restaurant. Second one is a weirdo artist. Maybe she's got weird connections. We can't get in that. This one, though, you tell me. It is an email from a real estate agent to a friend of John Podesta's and forward it to John. And the friend says to John, "The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Is it yours? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's not yours or you don't want it." Podesta replied the next day and said, "It's mine, but not worth worrying about." This is the only thing that in 10 years, nobody has asked John Podesta to draw a picture of the handkerchief, this lady to draw a picture of it, to show a picture of it, to describe it, to merely go like, "Oh, it was a Burberry handkerchief. It was a Hermès handkerchief. It was from Target." I don't care where it's from. It's just weird to me that this is the only one. What do you mean it has a map that seems pizza related?
Yeah.
And maybe that's
in that context, pizza equals something other than pizza.
Yeah, and that's the only thing I can figure out, unless she thinks it like looked like red and yellow and triangles, and she's like, it's like a pizza map. But it seemed so like she didn't seem like she was describing it's red and yellow and has circles on it. She said it seems to have a map that's pizza related. So who drew what map on that? So that out of every single 50,000 emails, that's the one that like ding ding dings my head. But I have we'll talk about it more in the next one, but those were like kind of the 3 core ones that people hung on to create what we're about to talk about, which is
his response too. It's mine, but not worth worrying about. That doesn't sound this is a coded conversation of some sort.
That's how I felt. So Susan Sandler of the Sandler Foundation is who forwarded the message. The real estate agent was Catherine Tate. And I think John Podesta's assistant was maybe like on the email chain, but no 4 of those people have ever been like, like it's just something that could have been so easily debunked. To just be like, oh yeah, we were talking about.
What's this map about?
Yeah, he has a Gucci handkerchief that has these triangles on it and it looks like a map of New York and then there's little pizza symbols on it. But it's like, I don't know. That's the only weird one.
And then he's like, no, it's fine. Just throw it in the trash. It's not worth worrying about.
Like, no one who doesn't know the code won't know the map.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And man, just because we've heard like from other mentionings in the files of instances where someone was like, you go to the end of the block and then you turn right and you go down the street and there's going to be a pizza waiting for you at the corner, and, just very like coded weird, sounding language. It doesn't sound like they're talking about pizza. So if there is like a map to some den of inequity that all these people, have, then that was mine, but just throw it in the trash because it's not worth worrying about. Nobody's going to be able to crack the code.
That's what I wondered. It's not worth worrying about. But those are kind of the big key ones that the 4chan people use to construct the rest of this. And, did those get floated to the top by interested parties? I don't know. Sinisterhood will be right back. I don't know about you, but I like keeping my money where I can see it. Unfortunately, traditional big wireless carriers also seem to like keeping my money too. After years of overpaying for wireless, I finally got fed up with crazy high wireless bills, bogus fees, and free perks that actually cost more in the long run. And that's why for the show phone, we got it on Mint Mobile.
Stop overpaying for wireless. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless plans starting at just $15 a month with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, all running on the nation's largest 5G network. Bring your own phone and your own phone number. Activate with eSIM in minutes. No long-term contracts required. Get 3 months of premium service for just $15 a month.
When we were trying to get a show phone, we're like, we got to go with Mint Mobile because sometimes we travel. We need to have good service where we're at. We're also using data, so we need something to be fast, reliable, and also setting it up had to be easy because I'm not trying to get in like I don't need an entire instructions like for building a house to merely switch my phone. And it was so easy, could not have been simpler.
If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/Sinisterhood. That's mintmobile.com/Sinisterhood.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for the first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Sinisterhood will be right back.
One detail from the January 2026 Epstein file release adds a new layer of suspicion on Pizzagate. On October 8th, 2016, the day after WikiLeaks dropped the first batch of Podesta emails, Epstein forwarded a link to the leaked files to at least 14 recipients, including Peter Thiel, with no accompanying explanation. The emails were distributed into existing correspondence threads without context or follow-up.
And that tells you something. They're watching. They're all watching.
And 14 seems like the inner circle. Like these are the people that we have to run everything by. Everybody needs to be in the know about this. And with no context is saying a lot. Like there's so much said in the silence of these things that we just, it'd be stupid not to pay attention to it. Like, why are 14 people, including Peter Thiel, getting this email with no subject line, any context up top? It's just an attachment.
No, for sure. And we'll talk about in part 4 the many other kind of mentions and crossovers between the 2026 drop and this. But this one's like the day after it drops. Yeah. And you don't have to write context because it's more like the plan is in action. Like that's how I took it. Not like, what are you sending me this? Well, who sent these emails out? It was like the emails have been sent and everyone knows what the emails meant.
Yes. The theory that emerged from Poll needed a large distribution infrastructure to become a national story. The structure arrived via a sequence of online platforms, each one reaching a larger and more credulous audience than the last. From the poll board on 4chan, the Pizzagate narrative migrated to Reddit. The subreddit r/Pizzagate was created in October 2016 and grew rapidly. The sub collectively began assembling what users called evidence packs, compilations of screenshots, annotations, and interpretive frameworks that gave the conspiracy the visual grammar of investigative journalism. Users built timelines, drew connection maps, and cross-referenced the Podesta emails with Alefantis' social media posts. Where the Anons of 4chan had engaged with the theory ironically, maintaining a plausible deniability of just asking questions, the Redditors were serious. The sincere, dedicated users of Pizzagate believed they were conducting real investigative work.
And that's kind of the scary part of Reddit, was that also they realized, they being the core users of Pizzagate realized, much like the core users of the Donald later realized, if you all just upvote every post, all your posts will go to the all page, which is the front page of Reddit, which then loops in people that might not otherwise have been seeing this, and also commenting it on people and saying like, we need your help. So it gets like, cross-posted to Unsolved Mysteries, cross-posted to Armchair Sleuths or whatever, just ways to draw in people that maybe weren't anti-Clinton or weren't pro-Trump, but were just like, oh, a secret mystery. And it's 50,000 emails, so many to go through. Yeah. I feel like, And plus, Ghislaine Maxwell's on Reddit. So I don't know.
Which is, that's kind of the biggest, not even a red flag, but just like smoking gun here is, we know she was the moderator of like a ton of subreddits. She's on it all the time. You see what people are doing. You're encouraging it. Then you're telling your homies like, hey, by the way, everyone thinks cheese pizza means this. So, if we just but everyone's saying it's stupid. So maybe we should just use that because they've already kind of done the work for us of discrediting it.
Or say like, hey, there's all these people that are hungry to call anybody a pedophile. Let's tell them the truth. Let's give them the real framework. And then just be like, it's Hillary Clinton that's raping kids. And we've now seen just based on where she was and with whom, she wasn't. Was her husband? I don't know. But it was a real easy way to take real allegations, perhaps a real framework, and then just sort of aim it randomly. So then it does seem crazy because the shots don't land. No, that's probably a bad pun. But, the lies don't really land on Hillary, but they're enough to cause just a huge bout of confusion. So then if you try to go, no, it's Donald Trump that's raping kids and calling him pizza, everyone's like, you sound crazy. And you're like, that's what Steve Bannon wanted. He wanted me to sound crazy.
Yeah. Beyond Reddit, the conspiracy moved to Facebook and then Twitter. A massive Rolling Stone investigation into Pizzagate's origins was conducted by reporter Amanda Robb over nearly a year with 2 research teams. Robb traced the conspiracy's earliest mainstream appearance to a single Facebook post on October 29th, 2016. That was one day after FBI Director James Comey announced the Bureau would reopen its investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server while acting as Secretary of State. The investigation resumed once agents discovered relevant emails on a laptop belonging to Anthony Weiner, the estranged husband of Clinton's close aide, Huma Abedin. Weiner was under investigation himself for sexting a 15-year-old girl. He was later convicted of that crime.
So once again, we have a true thing that there's an adult man sending dick pics, wiener pics, to a teen,
Wiener's
to an actual
wiener.
Dude, wiener, keep your fucking wiener, or you lose it. Don't use it that way, or you lose it that way.
It's gone.
We're taking it.
We're cutting it off.
You don't deserve it. Welcome to
I'm getting
mama.
a tiny guillotine.
Yes, welcome to mama.
That's what's happening.
This is how we punish these things. But no, see, I mean, he really was a gross pervert and questioned. This is my question. And this honestly people might never want to talk to me again and think I'm the worst person ever. The issue I always had with Hillary Clinton is that, and I don't want to hold a woman responsible for men, but I will hold a woman responsible for whose company she keeps. And you're keeping the company of your husband, right? Get a divorce. You know what I mean? Well, we don't really hang out. Fuck you. You know what I mean? We all know, we all know, not to mention now your close aide, Huma and Hillary were right up and hit her husband. Again, I'm not holding women responsible, but And I'm sure they had, at the time, we vehemently deny all these, whatever. We're learning with this Eric Swalwell guy. None of this stuff just happens like, oh, we had no idea. It was so shocking. It's like, that guy's a scumbag, and we all know he's a scumbag. So my irritation and of course I voted for her, happily, but I was always a little bit like, come on, like why if there was no smoke at all, like that would be different. But there was just like, this guy is like, right, you're going to dinner with this guy and your husband, like, ladies.
Yeah. I always assumed the marriage was more for show / who knows what kind of finances and shit you got wrapped up all into that. So much like Trump and Melania, they don't even live in the same place.
Yeah, I don't think he could recognize her in a lineup.
I'm pretty sure she probably has some sort of restraining order. I'm like, you cannot come within 1,000 feet of where I live.
You cannot touch me.
But I feel that way about her too. Like, can't. I do believe at one point she was a victim. At some point you become complicit and an abuser yourself. And I think she's decades past that line.
Oh, truly. Amanda and Garo
now
made
is coming out saying, with nobody was even talking about it. She makes this crazy statement. And then it's like, oh, because one of her old BFFs, who was also around for everything, is about to spill the tea because her kid's been taken away from her, and that would make me do it too.
Yeah, if you deported me to a country away from my own kid, I think you're probably like, I'll burn the whole world to the ground.
What do I have to lose? I'll fucking take everybody down.
No, it's true. I think, and again, I never want to say I'm blaming women for the actions of men, but it was disheartening, I think, just like the amount of like kind of scumbags everyone's hanging out with. But I'm happy to see, on a positive note, that it seems that there is a reckoning coming in DC. There's mass resignations are on the way at the Hill, because this whisper network of like, well, I can't fire him, but just so you know, he is a sex predator. It's like, wait, what? Now it's like, no, you can, and you should, and we're done with it. So this was like pre kind of Me Too days. So there's also that we're looking at it through a 2026 lens, but I've only really recently, I think, been able to articulate kind of why I had that like, why are you fucking with all them dudes, lady? Come on, let's go over here and make our own thing. But
I think too, it's such a difficult industry to break into for women that once you find yourself in it, it's like, well, even if you don't agree with it, you're like, this comes with the territory. Maybe I can change it from within. So you stick around and try and do good from there. You realize quickly, this is a boys' club. And if I want a position at all, I got to play along. That doesn't make it right. If they were like, I'm going to play along and then I'm going to change all these bills and release all this information that takes everybody down, then that would be great to see. We aren't seeing that really, because the people that have all the information are still in Trump's administration.
Yeah, unfortunately, she did not win. Would our lives have been remarkably better if she had been elected? Certainly. Absolutely. That I mean, without a doubt. And I think skill, intelligence, logic wise,
embarrassment.
And it's a privilege for me to have very nitpicky political objections to things that she done or decisions that she made that are not just like, oh, you shouldn't like genocide people, like you shouldn't like. And so luckily there was that. But anyway, just the Anthony Weiner connection, I think, is what helped also connect Hillary Clinton of like, look, she's got a pedophile in her own team, like right here. So that made the Pizzagate people were just salivating literally at this of like, look, we knew it.
No, I think there's probably truth to both things. And the biggest like issue here too is this is all being done to distract from the fact that Donald Trump said you can grab women by the pussy. Like, now we've all forgotten about that. And now we're just focusing on Hillary's emails. And it became like, lock her up at all the rallies and campaigns and stuff. I mean, if you're Steve Bannon, you're like, dude, I am good at spinning shit. I am so good at getting the people that went in office and shit off of them and onto their competitors. And look, nobody's even talking about the fact that Trump said you can just grab anybody you want by the pussy.
No, truly. And I've got the most amount of empathy and compassion in the world for Hillary Clinton having to stand on a campaign stage, knowing that the allegations that are being lobbied at you, especially we're about to go into a really egregious couple of allegations, are like verbatim, accurate, truthful statements about your opponent that are not being said about your opponent because some guy that your aide is married to actually is a pedophile. Some dumbass guy that you hired doesn't know how to say it's an illegitimate email link and not a legitimate email link. Like, that's where we're at, is that she unfortunately was I think the target of an extremely successful campaign and had people around her that we made her an easier target.
For sure.
So,
not to mention she was a woman, so that was going to take her down several notches right off the bat.
They were like, this person's extremely qualified. You're like, they do have a vagina though. And they're like, no, nope. I'd rather die in World War III and burn up in a nuclear explosion. And you're like, wish granted.
Yes. And just wait a few years.
What?
The main viral post mentioned Weiner and made serious allegations. It was from a user named Carmen Katz, later identified as a Missouri attorney named Cynthia Campbell. She wrote,
My NYPD source said it's much more vile and serious than classified material on Weiner's device. The email details the trips made by Weiner, Bill, and Hillary on their pedophile billionaire friend's plane, the Lolita Express. So this person just straight out like, what do you mean the Lolita Express? That's where Donald Trump hangs out.
Yeah. And again,
but we didn't know that.
What do you mean? Like, but these people do. And it's like, if you're going to start drawing attention to the Lolita Express and who else hanging out on the pedophile island, you know who's hanging out there. Your people are going to get their names out there at some point.
Right. And it's like this random lady posting on Facebook. It has never really been nailed down, like if she had an NYPD source, but we've now seen in the Epstein files that the NYPD was aware of Epstein's crimes and was told to stand down. So here's the thing. My NYPD source said it's much more vile and serious than classified material on Weiner's device. That's true. The next part, Bill and pedophile billionaire on the plane at Lolita Express, also true. Anthony Weiner, not on the plane that I recall. Hillary, not on Lolita Express that I recall. So again, you're weaving in geniusly, like weaving in fake and real information. This is such a classic textbook intelligence campaign that, like, oh, I don't know, if you're like a fucking intelligence asset who's friends with Steve Bannon, that you could make happen.
And like you said, heinous allegations too. And we have not seen anything that has said Hillary has a predilection for young girls. If any of y'all have, we're happy to take a look at it. I have not seen that. So to allege something like that, I mean, not only is it a huge hit to her campaign, but just like personally and professionally, like imagine being accused of like the worst thing you can think of. And then you're like, also, I think my husband is doing that.
Yeah, it's like Melinda Gates style, where you're like, well, I know I wasn't, but you certainly was hanging out with Jeffrey a lot, my dear. What was going on? But the use of Lolita Express, and, you know, again, this person was, we'll talk about who they really were, but, you know, not really an insider, but that was interesting that it's half truth. It's half truth.
Yeah. So then you start to pick it apart and it falls apart, you know?
Like you go, well, Hillary Clinton definitely doesn't have a predilection for young girls, so there probably isn't an international child enslavement and sex ring. Well, you're 50% right.
Yeah. According to Clint Watts, cyber and homeland security expert at the Foreign Policy Research Institute, who spoke to Rolling Stone, the Carmen Katz post fit a well-documented disinformation blueprint. Watts told the magazine,
if you want to sow a conspiracy, you seed it someplace. 4chan or Reddit's the perfect vehicle. Someone or some group possibly took this unwitting woman and made her the source they need.
The Katz account was later deleted once Rolling Stone reached out to Campbell.
She was hard to find. The Katz account was a fake account made up by this Carmen Campbell lady or by this Cynthia Campbell lady. The Rolling Stone and investigative journalists, their incredible work that they did. But they literally went to Missouri and they found like tea shops that Carmen Katz said she liked. They found restaurants or whatever. They were really trying. And what did it was a change.org petition to put Donald Trump's face on Mount Rushmore. That it was, dude. And there were multiple of these by Carmen Katz. And the last person that signed every change.org petition before it was closed was this Cynthia person. So Cynthia Campbell. So when you click Cynthia Campbell, she had the same profile picture as Carmen Katz. Mm-hmm. So the investigative journalists call up Cynthia Campbell. They go to her house. They're like, are you Carmen Katz? She admits that she created the page. And then she goes, well, but then, it got hacked a couple years ago, so I don't use it. Well, then the next day, she starts texting them. She texted them like 21 times in a row and was like, you're fake news. Fuck you, blah, blah, blah. And like freaked because she clearly got caught. Yeah. But it was this one wackadoo lady who thinks Donald Trump's face should be on Mount Rushmore made this post apropos of nothing on Facebook on a fake account she had made that got screenshotted. And that is what went viral.
Yeah. And, anyone that wants Trump's face on Mount Rushmore, I'm not going to give a lot of credit to anything they have to say, especially when it's all damning liberals and Democrats. Mm-hmm. There's just too much bias there for me to believe any of that.
That was a suspicious thing to me at first on this too. I was like, there is no way that if rich people are fucking a bunch of kids that it's all one political party.
Oh, no. No, it's everybody.
Yeah.
Trust no one. Trust no one. I keep telling everyone, I'm like, trust no one.
Nah, they're all perverts.
Dude, yeah. Any group that is around anywhere has got a pervert or two in them, no matter what it is.
There's always one, and we're going to sniff them out.
The post moved from Facebook to Twitter within hours, amplified by what Rolling Stone's analysis identified as a network of automated accounts and political bots. A Twitter account calling itself David Goldberg NY, later assessed by researchers as highly automated and part of an organized disinformation effort, retweeted a screenshot of the Katz post twice, adding,
I've been hearing the same thing from my NYPD buddies too. Next couple of days will be interesting. So it's literally a fake bot with a anti-Semitic profile picture. It's like a cartoon with a traditionally anti-Semitic, like Jewish kind of, like when they would draw cartoons to scare people about Jewish people, using the name David Goldberg's very intentional, I think, to propagate that. But it was part of, it was literally just bots.
Yeah.
It's just bots. It's bots. It's
bots agreeing, or not even just agreeing, but like perpetrating this conspiracy theory that was already made up. And now you have a bot being like, yeah, this is true, pushing it out to everyone. Mm-hmm. And nobody, at the time knows, oh, this isn't a person that also has buddies at NYPD. So this must be true. It's like, this is AI that they programmed to say this to trick you.
Literally, it was programmed to mimic human behavior. So there's typos, there's buddies, friends, whatever. Mm-hmm. And they said that the 10 most prolific tweeters about Pizzagate, tens of thousands of tweets all in a short period of time. They're all automated. It's all like they can go back, and once you analyze the tweet patterns, and that sucks because you could only analyze it in the retrospective. They were like, not only was like hundreds of millions of posts being made, but that the Trump bots were more effective than the Clinton bots, because there were pro-Clinton bots too, but the Trump ones were more effective by a factor of 5 to 1.
Yeah. When you got all the money in the world and a bunch of billionaire pedos funding your campaign, you can really do something with that.
No, it was definitely like a Russian intelligence coordinated effort, because some like the names would be like Calvin Chambers, Garrett Simpson, and they're literally just like Russian propaganda bots, and they would tweet like retweet a Roseanne Barr Pizzagate allegation and then tag like Sean Hannity and be like, you got to cover this. So then Sean Hannity's not going to go like, I wonder if that's a bot. He's like, I'm going to talk about this on the air.
Mm-hmm. And then you look like a fucking idiot, Sean Hannity.
Always. He doesn't even need a tweet for that.
No, he doesn't. The tweets made their way to Michael Flynn, the retired lieutenant general chosen by Donald Trump to serve as national security advisor. Flynn tweeted a link to a Pizzagate adjacent story on November 2nd, 2016, writing,
You decide. NYPD blows whistle on new Hillary emails, money laundering, sex crimes with children, etc. Must read.
The tweet was shared over 9,000 times before Flynn eventually deleted it. Paul Bleakley, a criminologist at Middlesex University, whose 2023 analysis of Pizzagate's social media spread was published in Current Sociology, found that after Flynn's November 2016 tweet, references to satanic elements in conjunction with Pizzagate reached their highest point, 46.5 times higher than on Election Day. The theory had traveled from an anonymous image board to the Twitter feed of the incoming National Security Advisor in under 6 weeks.
And I also didn't know how, like, the link that he sent was like a story from a news website, and they're just like fake news websites, which are not legitimate, but a profitable business. Some of them are based in like Macedonia, where it used to be a factory, and then the factory closed and no one has any money. And then they figured out that like people will pay you $100 to post an article about Hillary Clinton being a rapist, and you don't care because you're in Macedonia and literally no one's going to find you. So literally, people would just copy and paste stuff from tweets, turn it into a news article, and then people would tweet the news article. So it was just circular reference.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all just an echo chamber.
And when one of the fake news guys got interviewed, he was like, "Oh yeah, like I don't really care about any of this. I don't know who they are, who Hillary Clinton is, but I realized that the pedophile stuff was really popular, so I just would take whatever was on Breitbart or Glenn Beck's The Blaze and just repackage it with some tweets and then just post it and make money." It was like, cool, you ruined my life at least, so yeah, thanks for that.
Do you have a soul, sir? No, not at all.
Goddamn.
Research by 2 professors of Wellesley College, published in Technology Science, found that the actual Pizzagate hashtag appeared on Twitter on November 6, 2016 at 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 2 days before the election. It was created by a pro-Nazi trolling account that was later suspended by Twitter for violating the platform's rules. According to a sample of tweets provided to Rolling Stone by Filippo Menzer, a professor of informatics at Indiana University, Pizzagate was shared roughly 1.4 million times by more than 250,000 accounts in its first 5 weeks of life. More than 3,000 accounts in the sample tweeted about it 5 times or more. 22% of the tweets were later deleted, a pattern that Samuel Woolley, then director of research at the Institute for the Future's Digital Intelligence Lab, told Rolling Stone was consistent with
someone sweeping away everything so that we can't follow the trail. That's what they do, so that you just rub the sand behind you so your footprints are gone. Yeah.
It's really fascinating how quickly something can just blow up online, whether it's true or not, But once it's out of your hands and it becomes the internet thing, you have no control over it anymore.
Especially now with all the bots, because they literally post more times than a human can post. And they said something like, 47% of these effusively pro-loving Donald Trump accounts were just deleted the day after the election because they'd serve their purpose. You don't need them anymore. Or you delete them, and then you come up with new bots that your next client pays you to, push whatever.
Just remember, 50% of the people commenting online are bots. So if you want to get into an argument with someone on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, there's a 50% chance you're talking to AI and they're not going to change their mind or give in. You're just wasting your time.
If you're fighting, just ask yourself, is this a real person, or is this that tiny little robot in Poland that was chasing all them hogs around?
Dude.
And it's probably that one. He probably caught his hogs and then went home and was like, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, beep, boop.
Right-wing news outlets like Breitbart also spread the claims via its Gamergate accomplice, Milo Yiannopoulos. Using Steve Bannon's website and platform, Milo amplified Pizzagate to a politically engaged audience already primed by years of anti-Clinton content. The theory also spread from Twitter to YouTube. Their anonymous crowdsourced speculation was repackaged into long-form video content that looked, to an uncritical viewer, just like investigative journalism. On November 23rd, Alex Jones of InfoWars spent 30 minutes explaining the Pizzagate story to his millions of viewers, telling them,
"Something's being covered up. All I know is God help us. We're in the hands of pure evil."
That was good. And
thank you very much.
He's not wrong. I would agree with that quote.
The thing about
I would apply it to other things.
I'm not agreeing with Alex Jones. Alex Jones is agreeing with me.
Yes.
Because he has previously had people on his show that have claimed, like, there's a child slave colony on Mars. They're, like, just stuff that's, like, literally impossible. But this 30-minute documentary included a guy on it who was a private investigator from Erie, Pennsylvania, named Douglas Hagman. And he said, like, I have a source. Again, I have a source in the NYPD. And this guy says it's a satanic cabal of people. He mentioned on the air, I've got this evidence. I've got this direct evidence. And the audio of the journalist from Rolling Stone going to talk to this man in his basement where he has his studio, they're talking to him and they're like, you said you have courtroom ready documents. Like, we want to see these. We're so excited to see them. And you just hear his tone and he's like, there's no evidence. There's not any.
No.
I thought there was and there wasn't. And then the literal, the host of the show was like, we were so uncomfortable because like you could tell this man was like crushed and embarrassed and like knew like Rolling Stone is interviewing. Yes, Rolling Stone is interviewing you and you lied literally on the Alex Jones show to say that this thing existed that literally didn't, and that you really are a private investigator, but you don't know anything. You're just kind of a pick-me. Like,
and why did you let the Rolling Stone people show up at your house knowing that you had nothing? That, like, what? What do you think was going to happen?
50% of people are below average intelligence. You know what I mean? I mean, I just think you're just like, I'll trick them. Like, I'll be able to talk to him or whatever. You know, you gas yourself up. I don't know. But Alex Jones. I can
talk my way out of anything.
Yeah. And I think Alex Jones really kind of propped this guy up and then kept talking about it because it was so juicy and it really fit Alex Jones's profile, which is like, they're turning the freaking frogs gay. This is fake. This is a false flag. Just like saying whatever random stuff that he thinks that will get more clicks, and it did.
And we've seen the percentage of people that will believe child sexual abuse is happening diminishes greatly when you bring in a satanic element to it.
100%. Yeah. Sarah Marshall's podcast, The Devil You Know, talked about that. We've talked about it on our episodes, on the Mike Warnke episodes. And I don't think that was an accident that this started, you know, look at this Marina Abramovic performance. It's like, yes, she's a weirdo and she does like weird stuff and we can dig more into her. But that is, I think, a layer to cause this juiciness for people to click on and also to stoke incredulity from people that might otherwise act on the information positively and say like, yeah, I'm not going to vote for that. But damn.
Academic analysis of the Pizzagate Twitter network found something unusual. Where most politically charged stories produce at least two polarized communities, one skeptical, one credulous, Pizzagate produced a single dense echo chamber with virtually no internal skepticism. Researchers found that the Pizzagate rumor met nearly no resistance and spread through a closed loop of accounts that reinforced each other without question. Russian-linked accounts identified by the U.S. intelligence community appeared at the center of the network, alongside the trolls that took the story worldwide.
And if you point out like where they all link to, much like with Gamergate, they all link back to Breitbart. They all link back to Steve Bannon's publication.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say something good about him, but he's good at his job.
Yeah. I mean, truly.
Sucks because that's his job, and he sucks because he does that, but he is very good at it.
And it's like, know your enemy, right? I think for a long time I was like, oh, this is just some guy that's just posts whatever. And it's like, no, he is a highly intentional disinformation agent. And I should have taken him more seriously a lot sooner. Because I was like, he's just kind of like this literal troll that like hangs out with Donald Trump and is like, and just like sort of his rotting exterior.
Kind of Alex Jones-ish, just red and yelling all the time. And like, you know, he looks like he's drank too much every night of his life.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, you're just full. And with Alex Jones, I think the Andrew Callahan documentary on HBO Max like showed he's full of shit. That's a character that he's playing, right? But Steve Bannon is not out in the public because he's serious and he's himself. He's like the man behind the curtain.
The most organized Pizzagate community on Reddit sincerely believed that words like pizza, pasta, and walnut sauce in Podesta's emails were code for trafficked children, organized by race and gender. They believed that a handkerchief left at a dinner party was a map to where children were being held. A Louise Bourgeois sculpture in Tony Podesta's home supposedly proved his connection to Jeffrey Dahmer. Some allege that the Podesta brothers were the primary suspects in the Madeleine McCann disappearance, based on a police sketch. The most bizarre belief was that Hillary Clinton was personally participating in satanic child murder rituals in the non-existent basement of a Washington, D.C. pizza restaurant with a ping pong table. And tens of thousands of self-assured Redditors were assembling annotated evidence packs to prove it all.
And that's what it's like, Madeleine McCann gets drug in. I've seen a police sketch. It looks like Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, I saw a video and it looked like Ghislaine Maxwell.
So you have that again where you're like, now they're bringing Madeleine McCann as if she got trafficked somewhere. Maybe she did.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you who it wasn't. It wasn't Tony Podesta or John Podesta. It was the actual traffickers who were best friends with Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
It's really, it's been sad to go back and look at all these old cases of children being kidnapped and, like in JonBenét's case, murdered too. And I'm not saying it's all connected to this, but I'm not saying it isn't.
It becomes disturbing when you go like, oh, JonBenét's dad was at a dinner with them?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they were all at a camp together? You're like, huh.
Her grandfather built the landing strip for someone's island to come and go. Like, they're all pedophiles.
I was gonna say, when people get to be like private jet rich, that's when I start being like, what else are you into?
Yeah.
Because you got too much money. My mother said people have more money than they got sense. And I think that a lot of these people have more money than they have ethics at all, like souls. And it truly, I think, gets to a point where it's like, I want that too. Because it's a flex thing, or they were into it, or they want to get a seat at the table, and that's the only way you get a seat at the table. But it is that might be some future episodes, because there was a large trafficking scandal that came out of Iowa. I don't want to misquote it. The Franklin scandal is what it's called. Ohio. It's somewhere.
Oh yes,
we'll have to.
That is a hard one to look at.
I mean, I recently got a book on it because it was like a situation where a kid goes missing, and then folks are like, well, where'd that kid go? And it literally uncovers that like government officials were trading kids. So again, we're seeing where it's like Hillary Clinton loves to rape people with her friend Jeffrey Epstein aboard his plane. And also so is David Copperfield is there. And you're like, well, Hillary wasn't there, but the rest of that was true. Like, so you start just weaving in fake and true, and it sounds so unbelievable that gets them all off the hook.
There's been a lot of noise about the Podesta art collection as well. Oh, yeah. That
Tony,
has
the brother. Yeah.
Also come out in the files. And a lot of it is, I mean, I wouldn't want it in my house. I would think it's gross, disturbing, puts children in, paints them in a sexual light. And you're like, again, why do you have all of this if you're not like into it, And
I was gonna say, Jeffrey, guess who else had a bunch of pictures of naked kids and teens painted all over his walls in his house? Fucking Jeffrey Epstein. So I don't think it's like unreasonable to go like, we're all allowed to like the art that we like. And even if it's extreme art, but at some point it does sort of seem to be titillating a prurient interest. Like this is not, so for John Podesta, whose email got hacked, it's not even his art, right? It's his brother. And the brother's the one inviting him to the Marina Abramovic thing. So it might be another thing where John's not into stuff, but maybe Tony is. Whatever. I don't know.
What is the connection to Jeffrey Dahmer?
They just thought, I think John Podesta, I have to look it up because it was, again, it's like they see this thing looks like a victim. And so therefore that must mean this is it all was, again, once it got to Reddit and once these evidence packs started getting assembled, I really think that is when the disinformation molding was intentionally stuff was getting slipped in intentionally that maybe would have both completely wackadoo stuff as well as completely true stuff was getting sort of simultaneously slipped in to really try and swirl the pot so much that it was just like, truly it became like a punchline of, major news networks and stuff. Yeah.
And we all know who was on Reddit all the time.
Yep.
So, you had a puppeteer in the space that's going to blow this story up the most and make it go the most viral, just kind of leading the charge. Reddit banned our Pizzagate in late November 2016 for violations of its rules against sharing private information. A moderator's farewell post read,
We have all made life insurance videos. We have all vowed to continue this fight. You have only increased our number. This morning, we were numerous. Tonight, we are legion.
The community migrated to vote, then to 8chan, but its most diehard adherents were ready to take the fight offline.
Yeah, and the tone around it increased into life or death, right? So it's like, we have insurance videos. You're not going to kill us. And it was really after Eric Prince, who's the founder of Blackwater, who was if you're not familiar with them, a private security firm that worked with the U.S. government to do like war crimes, kind of like off books, whose sister is Betsy DeVos, our former education secretary. Because again, everybody's just connected with everybody. He goes on InfoWars on Alex Jones and is like, I have NYPD sources. He rarely does interviews. He's a Navy SEAL, right? He's like, everyone wants to listen to him. In the interview, he's like, I'll tell you what, Jeffrey Epstein's got a pedophile island. And there's a bunch of emails about people like the Clintons and others, like they're going to Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island. And then, it's intentionally part truth on InfoWars, which is fake.
Yeah.
He's doing it. So it just started growing and growing and growing, including like the Jack Prosbiak or whatever is like, he's kind of like a provocateur right winger, like live streamed himself going to the Comet Ping Pong to be like, I'm going to just see for myself. So now you're encouraging people to go in public. You're like, the Blackwater guys, like they're killing the children. Like this is so dangerous. So I think everyone got really hyped up. And then right after Pizzagate got banned on Reddit, the New York Times published this article that's like debunking the whole thing. And then that's when Alex Jones posted this other video that's like, Pizzagate is real. It's this documentary. So they were working, the right wing was really working to like amp people up to be like, this is life or death. There's an island and you have to run and save the children. Go.
Yeah. And those things are very coordinated and calculated of when they're released. Also, Bannon completely knows there is a pedophile island. And everyone's
been
going. He's a card-carrying member. So, but if you get people to go on InfoWars and just yell about it, then they're like, well, that kind of worked itself out because now we have a crazy person yelling about crazy stuff and we can just be like, what? On InfoWars? No, you can't believe any of that.
Right. And then you have the New York Times being like, well, Eric Prince said on InfoWars, there's a pedophile island with Jeffrey Epstein. What a crazy person. And now you're like, well, we all know that wasn't so crazy. But again, it's just this intentional trickery of mixing in completely crazy stuff with completely real stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. On December 4th, 2016, a 28-year-old man named Edgar Madison Welch drove from Salisbury, North Carolina to Washington, D.C., with an AR-15 style rifle, a revolver, and a folding knife. He had spent weeks watching InfoWars videos and reading Pizzagate content online. 3 days before the shooting, he had texted friends trying to recruit them to join what he described as a rescue mission, warning that it might require them to
sacrifice the lives of a few for the lives of many.
One friend responded,
sounds like we're freeing some oppressed pizza from the hands of an evil pizza joint.
Welch drove alone. Welch walked into Comet Ping Pong and fired the rifle multiple times while conducting what he later described to police as a self-investigation. He shot open a lock and found cooking supplies. He opened another door and found an employee bringing in fresh pizza dough. He found no tunnels, no captive children, and no evidence of the conspiracy he had driven across state lines to investigate. Comet Ping Pong had no basement. Welch surrendered to police outside and was later sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. He told a New York Times reporter before sentencing that he did not regret going and did not fully dismiss what he had read online, saying,
the intel on this was not 100%.
Nah. You drove say that again, buddy.
6 hours. And they fell for it. And I'm not even shitting on this guy because absent a strong education that was purposefully wrenched from our hands by the Nixon administration and all those in power thereafter. I mean, truly intentionally said, we cannot have an educated electorate. When you mix that with a legitimate looking documentary that's like, this is happening, not, well, we think maybe this is happening. Wouldn't you know, seconds after this hits the news, Alex Jones is like, hey, whoa. I didn't mean any of that. I was just asking questions. I didn't, because he doesn't want to be sued for libel and he doesn't want to be held responsible for this fucking guy shooting it up. And then, of course, everybody goes, well, Welch was a crisis actor. Edgar Welch was a crisis actor and the government had him do it because, well, I'm sure his family, who was completely horrified and ripped apart, was like, what? Because this guy, I think he just really ate the bait. He took the bait.
He did. And we've seen it with cults, and this is, the same kind of mentality of if you're just in front of the computer screen 12 hours a day reading all of this stuff in an echo chamber where no one's telling you you're wrong and everything you're seeing is confirming you're right. All of a sudden you're like, I'm going to be the hero that these kids need. It's kind of like, Teal Swan and Mother God and all that, where, people would leave the dinner table and they would lose their husbands for hours because they're just glued to the computer watching this stuff. It's a disease, it's, I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there's something in the DSM-5 that could tell you what's wrong with these people. But inevitably, it's incredibly dangerous because you're revving up this whole army of people to go possibly commit a mass shooting at this ping pong place. Luckily no one was injured, but they certainly could have been.
You're like, thankfully this guy's not crazier. You know, like it's bad enough that he did what he did, but he didn't just go, I know they're pedophiles and I'll kill everyone in here except the kids and take them with me. I mean, it was bad, but thankfully I remember hearing at the time, I was shocked that no one was killed, just knowing the type of people that interact with it. And you're totally right. I do think it's a disease. I think there's a new Lin-Manuel Miranda film coming out that's based on a Broadway play that's about people in an internet addiction, help support group, I think. But I truly think it's kind of like a subset of internet addiction to tell your family you're not important because I'm going to figure out how to live forever. I'm going to figure out how for my soul to transcend to the spaceship, or I'm going to figure out that Hillary Clinton is a pedophile, that you're fixated on this. And when it looks like an evidence pack, from I don't know, not really. And for what all he knew, it looked like a legitimate evidence pack from the cops, and takes that at face value and then acts on it. It really is. It is a scary thing that we've seen the power of bots. Bots made him do this. Literally, Steve Bannon and Epstein and bots made him do this, and it happened.
And they're sitting there laughing, smoking their cigars, just having the best time because they're like, see, we didn't even have to get our hands dirty. We just float some stuff out there and this asshole is going to go do it for us. This schmuck is so stupid. He's going to go do it for us.
This is my number one fear about AI, genuinely. And it's because this was a bunch of different bots run by people with a central person or two kind of going, oh, we should say this and this and this. But if you just had an AI bot that was like, go figure out how to get somebody to shoot up blank, it can do that. It can do that. So, and I know we've got some AI experts, scientists, sociologists and stuff that are some of our wonderful listeners. So I'd love to hear y'all's comments as well. But that seems like a scary next natural step from this bot manipulation to way more effective and efficient bot manipulation.
After the December shooting at Comet Ping Pong, Michael Flynn Jr., who was briefly serving on President Trump's transition team and son of Trump's incoming national security advisor, tweeted,
until hashtag Pizzagate is proven to be false, it will remain a story. The left seems to forget hashtag Podesta emails and the many coincidences tied to it.
Flynn Jr. was removed from the transition team days later. Flynn Sr. was confirmed as National Security Advisor in January 2017. The conspiracy theory had completed its journey from anonymous image board to the edge of state power in under 10 weeks. When Comet Ping Pong owner James Alefantis called the theory
an insanely complicated, made-up, fictional, lie-based story.
As he told NPR in November 2016, it had already traveled further than any denial could reach.
And Alefantis said his name was torn to shreds. He had to make all his social media private. He would get death threats constantly for weeks and weeks, the whole time this was going on. There, even if it's 5 crazy people protesting outside, screaming at him, screaming at the customers, all for what? He held a fundraiser there in 2008, and then some dastardly people were like, let's make the word pizza to fuck with them. And this guy's life's ruined.
Yeah. In October 2017, an anonymous user began posting cryptic messages on 4chan's poll board under the name Q. The Pizzagate architecture, including the crowdsourced investigation, the food codes, the Democratic pedophile cabal, and the coming reckoning, all became the foundation of what followed. The theory did not die. It merely graduated into something larger. So what do we think?
I feel like this is like a case study in some of the most effective political disinformation in the history of the world. Like, this is like groundbreaking evil, certainly. But from a mechanistic standpoint of how strings were pulled in various ways, it is, I mean, dastardly, but impressive.
Impressive, yeah. I was going to say that. I mean, I was telling a friend the other night, because she was asking about the podcast. I was like, well, we're doing a lot of Epstein stuff. And then literally like all of the topics that we're going to cover for the foreseeable future have a tie to it, because it really is all interwoven into this political, almost psyop of the whole world, you know, and we've all fallen for it. And it's not our fault. It's how we were raised. It's like how the institution was set up. And if you're in, you're in. And if you're out, you're out. And I personally don't want to be in. When you're out, you know, that ceiling for whoever you are is real low of how high you're going to climb. It's fascinating how it really can all, and we're going to discuss in future episodes, be traced back to like a handful of families.
Yeah. And then have made sure that that those families all stay in power, and what type of insurance policies you have to stay in power. And one of those things is, you know, Steve Bannon doesn't want to be president. Jeffrey Epstein doesn't want to be president, because the most powerful person is the one that's next to the president that can tell him what to do. And we discussed in our prior episodes, like Steve Bannon was with Donald Trump every step of the way and was besties with Jeffrey Epstein, texting him constantly about what are they watching on TV and when are we going to hang out next. And Steve Bannon was going to make a pro Jeffrey Epstein image rehabilitating documentary about him. And there's photos of them, and they filmed some stuff. And that's the person that was behind all of this. And I think too, the sick thing is it's not, oh, we want to make Hillary Clinton look like a pedophile. That'd be awesome. Wouldn't that be so funny? I think it's like, we got to tell them somebody's a pedophile. We got to, because they're going to figure it out. And there's stuff here. And we might, so for me, I always think like, who benefits? Paris always goes, cui bono, who benefits? This is how you can figure out the scandal. And I'm like, if you are in October of 2016, and the known fact that fills multiple Sinisterhood episodes is that your candidate is a sex predator, a repeated, documented rapist, abuser, and killer potentially of children. You're like, oh boy, somebody might figure this out. Somebody might whistleblow. So what we should do is, why don't we just go ahead and give them the structure? We'll tell them like,
get out ahead of it.
We call them pizza. There's a plane called the Lolita Express, whatever. But it sounds so unreal. And the Epstein files were hidden. Like we didn't have evidence that this was happening. So the fact that there's a plane called a Lolita Express sounded insane to me at the time. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And they're making it up. And that maybe they're biting and, you know, eating, at the very least, biting and chewing on the flesh of kids. That sounds crazy and made up until you read what is truly happening. And you read lawsuits, and you read testimony, and you read from lawyers who have talked to their clients and stuff. And it's not. But I think if you're Steve Bannon and you know there exists a bomb, you tell everyone there's a bomb, by the way. But you know what's crazy though? We actually didn't make the bomb. Isn't that weird? But you can't go out and say it. So you run Breitbart, a fucking whole news organization that seems legit, but then isn't. And you know that these you know, what did he call them? Like all the angry young white men can all be turned one direction on 4chan. They're not really as, you know, we can't really organize things on 4chan. So Elaine, maybe have a subreddit. So then you've got your subreddit, and then let it kind of do its own thing, but it doesn't take much to go in and push and move. And also mute things that you maybe don't want seen, and to make sure the right stuff comes to the top of the fray. So, when the Epstein files came out, I hated to hear people go, Pizzagate was real, because it sucks, because it was real, and that it was a real psyop that was tricked, that was literally a disinformation campaign intended to obscure all of the things that we know now are true. And that's what they wanted, right? Because they wanted us to be semantic about it and go, well, Pizzagate wasn't real. Some of the underlying architecture was real. Well, I'm not saying all of it was real. I'm saying we're saying the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you said earlier, just understanding 50% of the people you're bitching at online is probably a robot anyway.
Well, it's remarkable how easy it is to influence the public's opinion online too, especially when you are in an echo chamber and you don't have anybody chiming in like, hey, maybe check out this article from this like confirmed news source, and it says something different. They just see the same stuff over and over, and it just riles them up more. And yeah, the puppeteers occasionally do something, but for the most part, it takes care of itself, because you've got bots, and you've also got people online that are pissed and want something to do, vigilantes, people that are angry that want to put that anger somewhere, uneducated people who refuse to listen to reason. And then that's how you get, somebody showing up at Comet Ping Pong with the fucking assault rifle.
Yeah, seriously. This is such a case study of 2010s politics because of that, because of how important bots were, how important dis and misinformation were. And it swayed an election. I mean, period. I think this won him the election.
Oh, for sure.
Is why this episode is why Donald Trump is our president. Like, because you ask yourself kind of like, look, grab him by the pussy. What happened in the ensuing weeks until the election? This episode is what happened. So it's been a good, like, all right, well, at least I know why I'm here. It doesn't help me to be in the bottom of this pit, but at least I know how I got down here.
Yeah.
We see how we got here.
And it's disheartening to look back and be like, he did say this. There's footage of him saying this, grab him by the pussy. And then it got dropped almost immediately because this psyop came out into the works.
And this psyop that was juicy and just enough real to grab you, but enough fake to discredit the real in it. And it's genius. And I would just like to say, Steve Bannon, if you're listening to this, first of all, fuck you, die. But second of all, like, just take credit. I would say just come out and take credit. Like, why are you hiding in the shadows? Like, literally OJ it, Why I Did It and How by Steve Bannon, and just fucking come clean. We're all going to tear you limb from limb physically. We'll make sure you die dead. But like, not me. I mean, us collectively as a society, metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically.
But I do want to first challenge you also to a fist fight at your time and place.
I'd like to challenge you to a duel.
But I'm saying, like, just take credit, because it was genius. And there's parts of this scam that I think we can uncover, because we don't have all the secrets of exactly how. But I mean, the pattern is obvious. We see how it happened. It's obvious that it did happen, and that their fingerprints are all over the place.
And I think he does take credit where he wants to, and with the circle of people that he wants in power, and they know, oh, you want something done, you go to Bannon. To us regular normies, nobody's ever going to admit that, but I don't know, man. Death comes for us all. So at some point, but as we mentioned earlier, and we'll get into in later episodes, it can all be traced back to some families, and they do a lot to keep that power within the family, and they marry each other. So money gets merged and power gets merged, and then they have children that marry each other. It's just, it's very Game of Thrones, but
that's a great way to put it.
Real life.
It's real life Game of Thrones. And in a future episode, we'll reveal to you, but the number one thing that those families that Jeffrey Epstein worked with, the number one thing that they realized was the most valuable thing of all Information.
Mm-hmm.
Information, knowledge, and information. And if you know more, you can bet better, you can invest better, and you can make more money. And you know who to bet on and who to help, and having leverage and information. And what is leverage but information that someone doesn't want you to have?
And then you have
yeah,
blackmail over people.
exactly.
And then you get a lot of money paid to you, so you don't release that information. It's all, they got it all worked out, and it's worked well for many of them.
It's like, it's genius. And if they don't have something to blackmail you on, they'll kill you. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you are no longer useful. You will fall off of something, or you'll have a heart attack in your sleep, or you'll slip in your shower or something. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it's all an accident, and no one knows what happened. But not us, baby. We're here till 2100. I'll see you in the year 2100, January 1st, 2100. I'll be there. If I die before that, it was the government.
Same, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Can't even do the math to know how old I would be then.
114.
That's how old you would be.
That's how old
so I'd be.
That's how old I will be.
Seven. So
121.
121.
We'll make you. If it's not you, we'll get you one of those brainless meat sacks to billionaires are making, and we'll swap your consciousness.
I'll be one of those. 121 is nice too, because it's a palindrome.
Exactly. That's why I'm trying to live to it. We'll see you there. No, it's 2100, so it's 00. But yeah. It's like when I said I wanted to live to the year 3000, and people had to gently correct me and be like, I don't think that's happening.
500 years old.
I'm like, do you guys want to hear about Pizzagate? They're like,
and I want to be kept in a jar on your desk, like
Madame Leota,
Futurama style. Yeah.
I'm gonna put you in a crystal ball, like Madame Leota from the Haunted Mansion.
I love it. Yeah. Well, let us know what you all think. The more you dig into this, the more truths you uncover. Mm-hmm. Which lead to even more questions and incredulity, like you mentioned. Like, I'm like, can it all be so simple that it really is traced back to just these things? And how disgusting that these simple, disgusting tenets is what the foundation of America has been built upon.
Yeah.
And then you find out, and like I said, I can't see things the way I did. There's a pre and there's a post with me of like, before I learned everything about Epstein and what's going on, and after, because you really just can't look at things the same way once you know it all.
No.
And I don't even know it all. Once you just know some of it.
No, truly. Is this what Ted Cruz called going woke? Are we woke now?
Yeah, we're woke. I think we've been woke, so we're woker.
I really did. One time I tried to read his book because I was like, I'm going to like have a counter rebuttal to this. And I was like, this is so fucking stupid. This is the worst thing I've ever. It's so, I can't even argue with it. It'd be like if I came to a 6-year-old and was like, I'd like to have a serious conversation with you about a marginal tax rates. And they're just like, sometimes spaceships and grapes are the same size. And you're like, well, I don't know how to rebut that. That's what it was. So don't read that book, but go woke with us for the next series of episodes. Next time, we the investigation, the criminal investigation. So maybe some people will go to jail.
Maybe. Every day is a new day for somebody to do something.
There it is.
Someone can do something. Somebody should do something.
We'll make it happen as a nation. We're coming together as a nation.
Yeah. Someone should do something. What that something is, no one knows.
It's up to you.
You can do it. And I can't tell you not to do something because you don't even know what you're going to do. So how would I know what you're going to do?
But I do know whatever you do will make the world a better place.
And whatever you do, everyone will support you.
I'm a lawyer. I'll help.
Help in any way I can. Whatever it is that you're wanting to do. I don't know what it is you're wanting to do, but whatever it is.
I can't advise you.
No. But,
I'm not. And I wouldn't. But I'm saying. I'll be there. I got your back. That's what we say in improv. Got your back.
I got your back. You know what? I'll yes and you. Yes. Whatever it is you decide. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I will yes and you.
We'll there for you. We'll be right there for you.
This episode of Sinisterhood is made possible with the help of our amazing patrons.
If you're interested in supporting the show, consider joining our Patreon. You'll get access to ad-free regular episodes, weekly bonus content, you're able to vote on episode topics, join our monthly live streams, and more.
Keep it creepy.
Mwahaha.